There we go. That should sound a little bit better. I will also make sure that is connected. Hold on. I think we're good. Okay. So who am I to speak on this topic? When you first start the gym, not only the thing that you're lifting is as heavy as possible. So when I first started lifting anyway, the only thing that mattered was lifting as heavy as I possibly could, let's be honest. And I feel like that's the initial thing, because you get that kind of almost lifter's high, you like get really excited and look to go back to doing the same exercise next week and try to lift even more. So the idea is that you can lift weights every single week. You can lift higher weights every single week. However, if you kind of record a reset, you'll notice that your form might start to break down, or what else? Your form could break down, you might not control it as quicker. You might also not feel the muscle as much, like the contraction of the actual muscle. However, lifting more weights doesn't always mean you are getting stronger. When I first did this, I started often sacrificing my form or the speed of the movement, or take away the focus from the determined muscle. So if I was training chest and I was doing like a bench press and I started to feel it in my shoulders instead, then it's probably a bit too heavy or my form is not as good. But if anything that I'm going to say in this video as well kind of relates to your story, or you feel like I am not the man for the job, but someone who could help you in any sort of way with advice or working one-to-one, basically my goal is to create fitness content easy to consume while also documenting my own journey. So I used to be a skinny guy who bulked up, and basically that's who I majority help. Again, I help, that's the people I help and get the best results, which is men around 20 to 30 who want to basically bulk up, build some muscle, and also improve their body composition. I'm learning as I go along, so please use what's helpful and forget the rest. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for videos like this every single week or so. Again, I try to stay consistent with the free content. It's at masculine_mastery_PT for these free videos that I try to post weekly, and you can learn something new as well when you watch these. Again, they're not meant to wow you away with editing. They're not meant to wow you away with basically my charm. It's just about the knowledge that I provide in these videos. So another thing, if you want to work with me one-to-one a little bit more closely and you want to really, really lock in and get these results for summer, again, I know summer's ending, but maybe for next summer, you want to really look good for a holiday or an event, send a DM to my Instagram. Again, exact same my YouTube, at masculine_masterypt, where we can have a conversation about your situation and what I can do to help. This can be online, or this can be one-to-one, or just free advice of what you kind of think your training is like. So I only have one more spot left on my Summer Shreds coaching program, which is 40% off. So get on that as soon as possible, and I would love to be of service. Let's jump into the actual, let's stop the plug and let's jump into the actual knowledge here. Everything we will cover. So what actually is tempo? Why is it important for beginners? Avoiding injury with high effort, time under tension on the stretch part of the movement, form breakdowns, why PRs are easy with tempo, and how to use partial reps successfully. So what actually is tempo? When I mean tempo, you probably instantly think of music or basically beats. But in the gym, tempo is the speed of which you perform an exercise, how much time your muscles spend under tension during each phase of exercise. So that's just a very broad term. But this is usually represented by 3 or 4 digit number. So sometimes coaches, I don't really put coach tempo in there. However, I would give them an idea of what to aim for. Everyone's tempo can be different, but this is usually represented by a 3 or 4 digit number in a coaching plan, sometimes in workout programs provided by personal trainers or coaches. So the first digit is how long it takes to lower the weight. so the negative part of the movement. So basically, if you're on one of those fixed pin machines and the weight is basically the weight stack is going back down to the massive weight stack, so you take the weight off and then it slowly goes back to hitting the weight stack again. That's the eccentric. Again, it's different with dumbbells and stuff. But the second digit is how long you pause at the bottom. So the most stretched. So let's say you're doing a row. Basically, the closest part to the weight stack before it's touching. And you can't really see my arm, but it's like I'm rowing and then like my arm stretching, pause here at the bottom, then row back again. You can't really see my arm. I'll do it with my left. So I'm stretching forward and then rowing here. So I pause here at the bottom, basically with the weight stack getting the closest to the second weight stack or the bottom. Third digit is how quickly you lift the weight. So basically this is the eccentric, lower, pause, and then up. So me bringing the weight back up like this is the concentric. And again, how long you pause at the top of the movement, this would be this part of the movement of the row. So really tensing at the top and then slow, back down. So that's the best way I can explain it. And here's an example at the bottom. So it's 3, 1, 1, 0. So 3 seconds lower. So it'd be 1 second up. So let's say I start with the weight at the top here. Up, 1 second, 1, 2. Okay, well, my arm's not even in shot. Hold on. So I'd be row. The camera's just moved as well. All right, perfect. So it'd be 1, 1, 2, 3. Pause, 1, 2, 3. Again, no pause at the top as I put 0 at the end. So that's kind of like an example that would definitely help you understand it a little bit more. But why is this information important to know? For beginners, lifting weights is a confusing prospect. By controlling the weight from the start, you can build foundational strength without much fear of doing something wrong. They just have to show up, count the seconds, and train as hard as possible while keeping that same tempo as before. 3, 1, 1, 0. Again, that kind of initial pull. So the positive part of the movement, the pull up from the weight, will slow down initially. However, controlling it back down will always be not the easy part, but you can always control it the same length of time. So that's why you can train as hard as possible, easy with this. It helps not only improve repeatability, but also helps build consistency in the gym as well. How it helps to avoid injury. By having a specific tempo for a movement, it creates such a muscle stimulus without having to lift heavy weight for your personal standard. Don't get me wrong, ego lifting is fun and all every now and then. However, my goal is to activate the chosen muscle as much as possible without putting my body at risk. So it goes back bigger, stronger, and faster. So again, if I'm throwing the weight around, not controlling the lowering part of the movement, my muscles are not going to get stretched or not going to be in a stretch position for as long as this would be. So again, the stretch position is where you're going to see the most growth. Although the positive part of the movement where you're lifting the weight up, let's see you're doing a bench press. So the weight's on my chest here. Press. That's not like the lowering part is not as fun where I'm going slow, and the weight's kind of going and the camera's just not. So press out and then coming back here is not as fun as obviously lifting up the weight. Because if I just did this super quick, I'm gonna lift so much more weight than I would controlling it. But you just do have to drop the ego, and training to failure this way is 10 times better because you get closer and also you feel a lot better of a muscle stimulus. So eccentric stat. So this is basically just a study that basically compares the eccentric and concentric strength. I can't even say the word. Ratio of human skeletal muscle. It's like very niche, but it's basically just saying that basically for decades, researchers have observed that the eccentric is actually stronger than the concentric, which is obvious. However, it obviously differs between all these things at the bottom. However, that's why it's so easy to train to failure, or a lot better to train to failure, because if you're hitting failure or having more chance of hitting failure, so 3 to 1, or 1 to 3, I should say, of eccentric and concentric, that means that you will be more likely to hit failure or get closer to failure in this, because you obviously get very close to failure and then aim to do another eccentric rep, push it up, and that's where partial reps come into play, which I'll talk about later. So TUT, or time under tension, and stretching the muscle, creating much more time. A muscle or muscle group is under strain in an exercise. That's basically what time under tension means, which, I mean, you could probably guess that. You could lift 20% more than you do now, but the set is only 20 seconds long compared to a 60-second set with long reps. So this is kind of going back to that last slide. Would you rather have a 20-second set with lifting a lot more heavy, or would you have a 60-second set with long reps? The lack of time under tension won't put your muscles under enough stress to grow. And obviously we're creating as much stress as possible so we can recover later on when we sleep and take time for recovery as well. More time under tension allows for more explosive movements to have athletic performance and not just muscles for show. So that's another key thing as well, is that having that explosive, obviously, first part of the movement, the positive part, the concentric, the concentric, and then obviously controlling the weight on the back down, on the back down is going to be obviously stretching the muscle, causing it to tear, and that's what we want. We want the muscle fibers to tear, and then also help us recover bigger, faster, and stronger. Form breakdowns, how I can get easy PRs, or how I do get easy PRs. With controlled tempo, I can guarantee myself that I'm not cheating the reps. So if I'm constantly using the same tempo every single session, I cannot, my form's not going to break down. My the speed of the rep isn't going to change, because obviously, like one session I could go in and not count the tempo or not change the tempo, and I would easily get a PR in terms of weights and reps. However, I might not actually get as closer to failure as I usually would. Because that's the main important thing, is getting to failure in the safest and most manageable way possible. Consistently having good form, even when I don't get a PR, I know I'm training hard, so I grow back stronger the next day, even if I don't get a rep PR, without any worries or injuries. Always having the same tempo in a movement will allow for a more natural way of progression, as linear as it possibly could be. Because again, if you're constantly changing the tempo, one day it'll be you could do 10 reps, one day you could do 15, one day you could only do 5 if you're slowing it down. So obviously you can change your training every 4 or 5 weeks. That will keep it fresh and available. How to use partial reps successfully. So the last slide here, just the last bit to cover. Realistically, you should reach muscular failure on the way down in the movement, considering that most people are actually stronger here, but you don't always have to stop there. So let's say you're really, really tensing that last couple reps, really slowing down that positive part. So again, going back to the bench press. So come into my chest, push off, and then really slow and controlling, and then really final push going all the way up. And I know I can't do any more, but I'm still controlling that negative. That's the most important part. I know I can't do any more 4 reps. The idea from here, though, is I'm going to go halfway up, then slow control again. Halfway up, slow control again. So completing half reps with half the tempo, or try to do the same tempo as well, can really help pulse the muscle, and with almost a sense of ego lifting to reach that weight reach the weight up as high as possible, and still tensing, lowering slowly. This will completely revamp your idea of failure. So again, this is useful, but again, you're only contracting half of the muscle, but because you've already done loads, like done it full from there. However, that is how I train. That's how I get my results. So if anything in this video seemed like it could help you, or you can maybe try use partial reps, or even if you have a friend, you could do kind of the same sort of thing. So not partial reps, but kind of go up a little bit yourself, and then your friend also helps you spot you and go up. And then again, they only spot you on that positive part where it's lifting, and then you control that 3 seconds of the 1, 2, 3 back to the chest and then back up. So again, the idea is that we're just constantly controlling the negative, because that's where we're going to stretch and tense. But I think that's the last slide. Oh, well, we have main takeaways as well. Test a number of different tempos for different movements. Compound isolation. So compound would be a bench press where you're training multiple muscles, and isolation would be like a bicep curl or a tricep push down. You can have the same for every exercise. I mean, I usually do. It doesn't have to be complicated, but by adding this into your routine, you could save years of your training. And that is the final slide. And just before we head out, I just want to go back to my goal. So if any of this interested you, or if any of this seemed like you could relate, again, you can always check out my YouTube channel for more stuff like this, more videos, more knowledge. Or again, you have my Instagram with free gifts that can help you as well, like free diet plans, free workout programs, all that stuff. Just send me a message, I'll provide it for you. And again, if you want to work one-to-one with me a little bit more closely, really help you get results, then send me a DM or click the link in bio on my Instagram too. But that is it for everything today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.